Hello out there. Welcome back, everyone, to Lou Reviews. So happy to be here. Your destination for critical thinking in the realm of the unexplained. Please do not forget to smash that like, share, subscribe button. It's so important. And if you really love the show, of course, we've got a Patreon link in the description below, and super chats are open if you just absolutely must get a question in, or you can wait for the second half of the show and just call in for free. Totally up to you. Totally up to you. Today, we're going to be discussing the Ufo Cabal. Sounds scary. I promise you it's not. It's probably one of the dumbest cabals ever assembled. UFO Cabal assemble! Damn it, almost nailed that. We're also going to be discussing Ross Coulthart and his buddy Bryce Zabel on Need to Know, responding to Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick's media tour in the Scientific American and CNN and elsewhere. It's really ruffled his feathers, and I love it. So we're gonna watch that, talk about that, and maybe we'll cover Chris Lehto losing his shit. I don't know. I sort of covered it a little bit last show, but then after I ended the show, there was another clip that dropped, and yeah, we'll get into that because it's just a little more complicated. But I saw this coming 7 or 8 months ago, and I reached out to Chris privately and said, hey man, I think some of the information you're looking at is really messing with your head. I think you're jumping to a lot of conclusions that the data is not providing. And he, basically very nicely, very eloquently told me to go kick rocks. And now he's calling in the sun with a snap of the finger. So, yeah, we'll talk about that. And then, let's see here. And I think that's maybe it. And then, yeah, we'll take your calls for the second half of the show, or part of the second half of the show, last quarter of the show, last quarter would be the last quarter of the show. Worst case. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? I want to say hello, of course, to start the show to everyone who is here in the chat. Blasterax says, what's going on, boy? I'm in England, going to sleep soon, mate. Have work early. Good on you, mate. That's totally Australian. Well, good on you, mate. Right. Top of the morning. Top of the morning to yous. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. Well, have a good day. I'm not here. This is not happening. Poor Chris. I agree. Poor Chris. On some levels, it's sad. On some levels, it's funny. Like, that's just me. I laugh at a lot of things, including myself. So, being upset or being passionate or being, honest about something that you think is truth, I can relate to that a lot. I really can. So, yeah, part of me is obviously sympathetic for him because and in some ways I've been in the same shoes, and I had to step away from this stuff for 4 months, 3-4 months. Reassess, really step away from it. Enjoy the time with the people that I really give a shit about. and it helped wonders. Talked to my doctor, like all sorts of stuff. Like, I genuinely took the time away. I guess we're talking about this now. Oh, look at this. I've got my LinkedIn up here. Yeah, let's check this out. All right. Oh, this is another thing I wanted to talk about. I'm kind of glad I left this up, this Nanu project. Oh, maybe we'll get into that a little bit too. That's an interesting little conglomerate of believers that has popped up recently. Anyway, where the hell was I? Yes, Chris Lehto. I guess we're talking about him now. So I guess let's start with him, because again, like, just to get this out of the way, and yeah, I mean, you know what, we'll just use my clip, because I know my clip for sure is the pretty much the full thing here. It's okay, so yeah. Show me losing your shit without telling me you're losing your shit. This is what I labeled this. And again, this is from Chris. Okay, so I think before I play this clip, I think it's really important to talk about this head on. Like, don't be afraid to discuss this, because I was listening to his space, and the gentleman from wherever he's from, Nick Gold, who's blocked me and is a total goon bag, actually made a really great point. And they were discussing in this space, they were talking about Chris Lehto, and he had made a point of, you know, the problem is with this community is that we allow a lot of charlatans, for example, Ashton Forbes, push fake stories with fake data or incorrect data, and they pollute this space with conspiracy and theories that are so far out there that a lot of folks attach to. And this has happened to an F-16 fighter pilot. And that's who Chris Lehto is. Like, he was responsible and definitely had a psych evaluation to make sure that he didn't take one of the bombs on his plane and hit an American target with it. Today, he's claiming to summon lunar eclipses or solar eclipses. Which one is it? Where? What time? I have no clue. Apparently, it's at the snap of his finger. And he's also opened himself up to some spiritual awakening of love and light. This whole love and light thing. That when you really just dig surface level, you figure out real quick. It's love and light only if you believe in what we are saying. If you don't, we want to kill you, essentially. And here's the other thing that I didn't, he had put in a tweet, and again, like, I do love that Skyfire News is making all of these clips and sharing things, because it's making my life so much easier. I don't have to edit or timestamp anything. They just do it for me, which is great. Chris Lehto, I vape every day. This is what he tweeted on February 5th. I vape every day and solve physics with the help of shrooms and AI. You guys are idiots, and I hope this shows that you need to take a long, cold, hard look in the mirror and stop making us look like warmongering petty monkeys. There's a reason no one has contacted us. Damn! Contacted us in the rest of the universe. Thank you. Holy cow. We just got a donation. Let me acknowledge that because I totally missed it when I was reading. Adam Hatfield donated $20 through Super Chat. A quote from one of my favorite artists, Madonna. Love her or hate her, I think it applies to you, Lou. People say I'm so controversial, but I think the most controversial thing is I have never done is to stick around. The most controversial thing I've ever done is to stick around. Interesting. That's thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. And I love Madonna too. Where did she say that? And then, man, that's okay. So that's a long message. So what I need to do here, sorry guys, because I'm like OCD about this stuff. Just want to make sure that message can be seen because it deserves to be seen. Because damn, that's a $20 super chat. Thank you, Adam Hatfield. I appreciate it, man. Truly, truly, truly. And also want to give a quick shout out. Let me pop this up here real quick. Earlier, before the show started, 00 subscribed. So I want to say thank you to 00. And I also, let me see here, want to say thank you to Matthew Reynolds, who subscribed earlier. And Albie55 UK. So thank you guys for the subs and the super chats. I truly appreciate it. Goes a long way. It really does. Thank you for supporting the show. Okay. So that's the tweet from Chris Lehto. And again, like, man, this guy, like, I had so much fun talking with him when he first came into this space, and you know, we were friends. Like, I helped him on his launch of his you know, his UAP coin, his digital currency that he was launching. I helped host the show where he launched that coin. You know, like we were talking all the time, and anytime I asked him to be on my show, he would come on because he's got aeronautical, thousands and thousands of hours of aeronautical expertise in the world's most advanced fighter plane. And now he's vaping and shrooming every day and thinking he saw physics with shrooms and AI. And it's not like this message is like dangerous, I guess. He's not hurting anyone. But I could tell you, I bet you anything after watching this clip, you'll kind of sort of understand that I think maybe his family might be like, what the hell's going on? Like, what's going on? So here's the first
Golden
clip.
Age.
It's the Golden Age.
Oh, yeah.
It's Golden Age.
It's the Golden Age. Oh boy, he knows he's in trouble. And there's the wife.
Golden Age.
Don't worry about it, babe. Don't worry about it, babe. It's all good. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat. I'm just smashing a fucking guitar down here. And this is after he sang a song. What was really funny is I watched as much as I could of this entire show. And honestly, if you're not doing shrooms and an AI expert, I had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. And guess what? Nobody else does either. So, you know, all of those people who are like, well, has anybody serious taken a look at his concepts or ideas? No, they haven't. Because he got those concepts and ideas while he was high on mushrooms. So let him write a paper about it. Since he's such a physicist now, and he's conquered physics, let him write the paper and explain to the scientific world what the fuck he's talking about. So, like, in a way, he's not hurting anyone around. But he's got a massive following, and he is proselytizing these concepts to a really big audience. What percentage of that audience believes what this guy is saying? That he is now the conduit for the golden age. And he thought of these songs. This was the part I forgot to say. He wrote and performed these songs during this live stream. And he said both of them, he worked really hard. One of them, it was coming to him for a year, right? I was like, okay, what could this song be? Holy shit. And it is nothing but a cover and a Weird Al Yankovic version of the Beatles. I can't remember the name of the song. Anyway, a Beatles song. All he did was just change the lyrics. That's all he did. And then he did another song again. He was like, oh man, I thought of this, just came to me. Like, I'm such a genius. And it was another cover song where he just changed the words to it. It was wild. And then he played another song with his new band that he's a part of out there in Portugal. It's such a far departure from the Chris that we knew. And I've really been ignoring this for the last 6, 7, 8 months since I've reached out to him, because he is a veteran, because I had a lot of respect for this guy. He is very nice, very nice person. It sucks that this is what the UFO community does to a former fighter pilot. And selfishly, it kind of makes me not feel as bad for falling for all the shit that I fell for and getting emotionally attached as I did to it. Because if it can happen to an F-16 fighter pilot, it could happen to you. And this behavior is just, it's odd. So he plays this song. What's really funny is he's got a guitar that he plays on. Then he walks off screen, picks up the prop guitar, or the guitar he's going to smash, the guitar he doesn't give a shit about. Like, if this is a real revolution, man, right? If this is all love and light and material things are not necessary, why didn't you smash the fucking guitar that was strapped around your shoulder there? Why'd you pick up the red prop guitar? Material things aren't important, right? I know for sure that was part of your spiel somewhere in that diatribe. Man, after this, I was saying this last show. Is he playing a WWE character at this point? Or does he really believe this stuff? That's where the fact that he's taking mushrooms, I think at this point he's convinced himself. He's absolutely convinced himself. And I just hope he has the right support structure around him to get him away from this for at least a month. At least a month. I would say maybe longer. But, that's... The community we could worry as much as we can. We could try and reach to as many people as we can. I'm pretty sure there's maybe only one person that might know his wife, and that would be Carl Vibe. And Carl was defending this shit. Like, he's like, oh, he's had an epiphany. You took all your videos down, Lou, because of something that you found, to change your opinion on things. I'm like, yeah, sure did. But my videos were also... They were conspiratorial. They were bad information. It was terrible information. He is having an epiphany for terrible information. He's summoning solar eclipses with a snap of a finger. I know I had a meltdown, everyone, but I wasn't smashing guitars on my show. And sort of, I don't know, being like, I guess, a part-time hippie. I don't want to call you a fake hippie, But a part-time hippie, like these, you've had this spiritual awakening, and yet material things are clearly still important to you. So, I don't know. Did you have a spiritual awakening? Let's all click our fingers together, guys. Yahtzee with a $5 donation. Thank you, Blaster Axe. I appreciate it. We have, I'm not here, this isn't happening. To what extent? Watching his descent into clear mental illness, are his followers who cheer him on accountable? I think if the followers who are cheering him on, they also believe it. So I don't know if they're accountable. I think it's just groupthink. It's cult behavior. It's cult-like thinking. And what was really concerning, the most concerning thing was he was like, I am the guy who got this information, and I got it before any physicist or anybody who actually studies this stuff. I figured it out. It was given to me, Chris Lehto. I think to me, that's the part where I'm like, oh man, things are not good. Things are not good. Yeah, I don't know if the only person who could be accountable is Chris. Like there are people, again, like I've reached out to him, and I know there has to be other people reaching out to him going, dude, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? Is everything okay? Adam Hatfield says, with a $5 super chat donation, thank you very much, says, not to be playing online doctor, and I've only seen the clips you've shown, but this smells like unmanaged mental illness at this point to me. Maybe. I think it's a lot of shrooms. I think it's a lot of shrooms, man. I mean, he says he's doing it every day. So if he's overdosing up, what people don't realize, I think, when they take mushrooms is they're poison. You're taking poison, a level of poison that doesn't kill you. It gives you strong hallucinations. But essentially your body is reacting to it like it is a poison. So you can't overdose on these things. You can, I think, rewire your brain to only think on these things. I think you can get addicted to mushrooms. I'm pretty sure you can. I mean, I know people microdose them every day, and I'm also playing online doctor here, because I will say that I know there's a lot of wonderful healing properties when it comes to mushrooms. But what it actually is, it's essentially, most mushrooms are like, a lot of mushrooms are poisonous and deadly to humans. And this is one that falls right in the middle between, edible and deadly. And I mean, dude, I've seen a lot of folks go really sideways when they get heavy in the mushrooms. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of, my personal opinion, if I had to take some guesses, I think Jeremy Corbell takes a ton of mushrooms. I think George Knapp doesn't take a ton of mushrooms, but he probably dabbles here and there. Bob Lazar definitely took mushrooms. I would probably say even Lear. Like, I can see John Lear, maybe. Like, shit, dude. Like, all of those guys are I mean, even in the Rolling Stone article, which I've talked about on this show, with Jeremy Corbell, like, he told the journalist that was interviewing him, hey man, you want to see some UFOs, man? They just basically whipped out a bag of mushrooms. Like, I'll show you some fucking UFOs, man. It's just like, yeah, no wonder why you think UFOs are real. And you see UFOs and you believe all this shit. You're shrooming up every day, man. Like, it's wild. Blizzard, $2.22 super chat. Thank you very much. Lou review gang plus Lou. Let's just snap it all together. N321. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Appreciate the love, man, and the donation. Okay. So let's play this. I mean, yeah, I just would preface all of that just to understand, like, hey, this is why it's important to talk about it. This is why we should point it out. This is what, I mean, I think what should be shown to people when they're like, hey man, I'm looking into UFOs. Be careful. This guy used to be an F-16 fighter pilot and look what happened to him.
Golden Age! Let's do it! Yeah!
Right here.
It's Golden Age.
He realizes that he's in trouble. He hears somebody coming down these stairs, like running because they don't know what the hell's going on down here. He's already looking back.
Sorry. It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
Golden Age!
It's okay, babe. Got it. But this is a part that's also
guys
very
ready?
interesting. This is how he closed this show.
Hope I explained it. You guys are here. You'll see it. If you're watching this later, this will make a difference. So this is going to be the Thanos snap. And we're going to bring in the literal golden age of humanity on Earth. And I'm happy to do it with you.
The Thanos snap eliminated half of existence. You are mixing it with bringing in the golden age. Just wanted to point that out.
I'm so happy.
Because I'm a nerd.
We did it. And you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Nothing changes. He's like, huh. And my room's still the same. Yep. It didn't work.
Feel something.
There was something.
Right, guys.
I got nothing else to say. I gotta get out of here.
Just didn't plan on it. All right, everyone.
Okay, that's a lie. That's a lie. He just
like
lied
and subscribe.
here. That was, I think, the first Chris Lehto lie I've ever caught him in. Sorry, I smashed the guitar. I didn't plan it. Yes, you did. You took off the guitar you were playing and you picked up the prop guitar. Yeah, you did.
All right, everyone. Remember to like and subscribe.
That is just...
Didn't plan on it.
Hold on a second.
Right, guys. Yeah, sorry, the guitar. Just didn't plan on it. All right, everyone. Remember to like and subscribe.
Remember to like and subscribe. We just brought in the golden age, everyone. Solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, when it happens, it's because of this snap, and your snap too, guys. Like and subscribe, because, hey, if you want to be here for this love and light, like and subscribe. And I bet he got a ton of subscriptions out of this. I bet he got a shit ton of likes out of this. And the last few days, he's been telling everyone, I'm great. I'm fine. Nothing to see here. Like, moving along, people. Nothing to see here. Okay. I mean, I see a fucking goddamn massive freeway wreck, and it's bad. And, okay, sure. Nothing to see. I guess I'll just keep moving along. I mean, I don't know, man. It's out of our hands. It's out of our hands. Poor Chris. The internet is a hell of a place, man. It really, really is. It really is. All right. Let's see. What else are we gonna get into today? Okay, I wanted to cover this. And this was a discussion that happened, actually, I think it was last Wednesday, because I had a show that night, and I totally missed this opportunity to get into this chat, because I would have loved to have been in this room, this Twitter space. I would have dropped everything I was doing if I had seen that Eric Weinstein was in there, because shit, I would have had a ton of questions for him. But this was an interesting thing that he said, and he's said things along this line before in interviews with Rogan and interviews with other people on podcasts. Again, this is a Skyfire News clip. It was put together by those guys, so Just search Skyfire News on Twitter. I've got links to their channel in the last video I did, so if you want to click that, hit it up. But yeah, I mean, they're oh man, it's amazing what happens to an account when it's got access to 2 million people. Yes, he is. And actually, he was wearing the shirt. UAPX is the group that sells NFTs. Or not UAPX. What the hell was it? I'm part of it. Like, I have a coin. I have one of the coins. I can't remember the name of it. It's so silly. But yes, he was wearing the shirt. And it's not UAPX. That's Gary. That's a different organization. That's, yeah. And that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, he said something in the space the other day that was like, holy shit. Chris says that this is that's my question Eric Weinstein is responding to. Excellent. Can you do me a favor? I wonder if the question, I can't remember if the question's in this clip. We'll find out here in a second. But yeah, let's listen to this UFO cabal that Eric Weinstein is talking about.
To having the right people in the room, Dr. Kirkpatrick, that was with Arrow, the director, he has a PhD in physics. Do you think he was the right guy for the job? And did you happen to read his op-ed in Scientific American?
I did read that. I thought it was very disappointing. Let me just say this: physics is a big place, and there aren't many people who speak the exact language needed to make progress beyond the standard model and general relativity. I don't think that Dr. Kirkpatrick is somebody who, for example, I don't know his background, but I would guess that like bundle theoretic and geometric physics, both the quantum field theory and general relativity side, is probably necessary. I don't think that he's necessarily the right person. I don't know whether he's supposed to put the toothpaste back in the tube. I do think that there's a very...
Okay, I'll say right now, because he's making, I don't know if he's making decent points. I'm not sure if Dr. Kirkpatrick does have some sort of grasp or expertise or knowledge of those fields that he's just listed. But it does also sound like he's speaking out of ignorance, that he doesn't really know. He hasn't looked at his background. He's never heard of Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. Therefore, he probably isn't the right person to head up this job. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. But this is that answer that he just gave there reminded me a little bit of how he thought about Mick West until he talked to Mick West. And then he completely changed his mind because he was listening to his peers and he was listening to the internet give their opinions about Mick West without actually speaking with the man. And then once he spoke to the man, okay, I understand now where you're coming from. You're not saying that it's not possible. You're just saying we don't know yet. And the data that we have doesn't prove it. Yep, that's what I'm saying. And that he can respect. So once I bet if they got in a room together and spoke and not hashed it out, but had those conversations, those mathematical conversations that Weinstein loves to have, maybe they can speak the same language as he says. So that was the first part. So I wanted to comment on that because I was like, okay, don't totally agree with him on this part. I think Kirkpatrick was a good person for the job, and he's got some pretty impressive notches on his belt, including his physics degrees. I don't know them off the top of my head because it's not my resume, but you can go find it. It's not very hard. And I've seen it. So I don't know. I think they could speak that same language. But again, I don't think he's ever spoken to him, interacted with him, looked him up, so that's that. Let's see what else he's got to say.
Very strange cabal of people who seem to generate an enormous amount of the weirdness around UFOs. I don't understand it. Why does everything go through Hal Puthoff and Jacques Vallée? It doesn't make any sense to me. But people get very used to it, and they sit around and they talk about Diana Pasulka and Kit Green and Eric W. Davis till the cows come home.
Right.
And it just doesn't sound like reality to me. with respect to, we also don't want to hurt each other's feelings. Eric W. Davis has been a prince to me. Very, very nice guy. Hal Puthoff has been nothing but good to me. I don't want to run these people down. But we're in a situation here in which if you're telling me we've lost control of our airspace and you're talking about interdimensional beings, I can promise you that David Grush has been told that. He knows he has a BA in physics and not a PhD. He's not at the relevant level of expertise. And then he tried to do a good job by illustrating it. And like, look at the pain that he gets into. He says like holography is an example of, dimension shifting. And then suddenly everybody's making fun. Oh, so, is this basically ADS CFT? It's really important to be more decent as humans to the people who are in this. Grush seems entirely sincere to me. I've had tons of interaction with him. If he's fooling me, he's doing a great job. I don't think, I think that the problem is that what he's saying is so crazy that we just don't have any basic framework for it. Somebody said interdimensional, and I can promise you, I haven't met anyone with enough physics knowledge to fill that out. That could be Kaluza-Klein, it could be large extra dimensions, it could be, a string theory with Calabi-Yau manifolds. It's anyone's guess. It sounds like somebody read Flatland and took too many drags on a doobie and came up with interdimensional aliens. And you just can't mix this sort of stupid shit and national security like that. It makes us look like the Keystone Cops. Everybody, Shabbat Shalom. Have a fantastic night. Really great to be with you. Enjoyed it. And you're in good hands with Jesse. Talk to you guys soon.
Yeah. Would have been because Jesse Springer was in there, or not Jesse Springer. Jesse Michaels was in there. I think Gary Nolan might have stopped by. I mean, it would have been great to ask these guys some questions, man. I hope that there's another Skyfire Twitter space where those guys hop in and I could get some questions in there. But I mean, like he's basically saying like all of this information is coming through Jacques Vallée, Hal Puthoff, Eric Weinstein, and none of these guys are anywhere near the top of their fields in what they do. They shouldn't be the ones bringing this to the public. Like they just shouldn't be. And they don't have the qualifications to make the theories that they're throwing out there. It's silly. And he's like, all of this shit makes us look silly. But at the other end of that spectrum, he's like, but I do believe these people are being sincere. They've been nice to me. Of course they've been nice to you. And of course they give you access because you're on that fence. I think once you figure out, Eric Weinstein, that your gut instinct on this shit is right and that this is just bullshit to cover up new toys and a hole in our national security apparatus, then once you start speaking like that publicly and you start saying, Bob Lazar's full of shit, I think as nice as David Grush may be, he's incorrect and got fooled. He's a useful idiot, as Joe Rogan framed it. I think all of those niceties and all of that goodwill you see will go away very quickly. Very, very, very quickly. And if you called out your colleague, Gary Nolan, for some of the wild shit that he said, like stripping PhDs from people, among other things that he said and the way they weaponized this discussion. And Stephen Greenstreet did an amazing piece just a couple of days ago that highlighted just sort of how they weaponized this discussion, and that weaponization of the discussion festers crazy people like Chris Lehto, like UAP Mike, like KMF, like Sawan, and they and many, many others. And they throw out these crazy conspiracies and make shit up in a world where we live in, where we can connect to each other better. And truths aren't as, they're just taken a lot. Even though we, at our fingertips, we have ways to look up these supposed truths. It's once he figures out that his gut instinct is right, all of those niceties go away. All of those how you doings and, you know, treating you like a sweetheart and respecting you and stuff and actually giving you access to people like David Grush. I'd love to see, he has said about Jesse Michaels. And again, you know, like he's like, we should be nice to each other. We should treat each other decently. The only issue is that the only thing that classifies, or not the only thing, but one of the things that classifies as disrespectful behavior is simply asking questions. Simply asking questions and telling the truth. As we've learned through this show and its experience with this field. But he has said himself about Jesse Michaels that he is a really smart guy, very intelligent, but he's an idiot when it comes to UFOs because he's got a belief system. He wants to believe this. He's read so many books and he's done so much research that he's convinced himself that anti-gravity is a real thing, that they're actually working on it. And he's telling you, yeah, there's no mathematicians or people that would even be working on that field going into that field once they graduate. There's nobody working on this. There's no big grants being given for this kind of research. Nobody's looking into this. And if it was a working technology that is valid and somebody would be able to make money off of, trust me, the free market would want that technology. So yeah, I don't know, man. You know, I appreciate Eric Weinstein sort of calling that out. Like this cabal of people that are controlling this information and who it's filtered through. And it's like he's literally surrounded by the cabal. All of his friends are part of that cabal. All of them are part of that cabal. And all of them have infiltrated and have convinced David Grush that what he's saying and what he's been told is true. Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. It's real. I promise you. But when he's actually like, okay, let's have a conversation. Let's get into a room where you guys give me the information and that way I can make up for myself whether or not it's valid. And then time comes to have that conversation and all of a sudden everybody disappears. Like, it's just like he's so close, like a lot of us were. And again, like just another great example of how someone really smart could be taken for a ride on this shit. And even with the gut instinct that he has, he knows it's bullshit. Wise Monkey with a $5 donation. You don't need a PhD to say there's no evidence of other dimensions with beings that have visited Earth, or fact check. No, you don't need a PhD. You definitely don't need a PhD to say that there is no evidence of dimensions with beings. No, anybody can say that. Let's see here. Weinstein loves the limelight and has a high regard for himself. He definitely does. I won't argue that. But like, he's also approachable. Like he made himself, I'm sure, available or open to questions with, I mean, in that space, we have Chris. Chris got to ask one of the best mathematicians on the planet about UFOs. Like, that's kind of cool that he's going into those spaces and having these conversations and engaging these thought process. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we need more interaction like that. We need more people in those spaces that bring a little fucking common sense, but also authority. Like it's some sort of form of like, okay, like you're not going to question this guy when he says, okay, this is the way it is, because yeah, he probably knows, you know, he probably knows. So all of these wild theories and all these wild things, you know, but he did like, a bunch of people were giving him shit the other day because he was interacting with Ashton Forbes. And it's like, he probably has no clue who Ashton Forbes is with that interaction and those series of questions that Ashton asked him. And I think, if I recall, they were pretty decent questions. And I don't think they had anything to do with MH370. You know, again, like, really smart people sometimes fall for some really stupid shit. Ashton could be considered one of those people, you know, like, Like it happens, man. And I think that's the overall theme for today's show. Really smart people can fall for some really stupid shit. It is just, be careful. When you jump into this rabbit hole, be careful. And if you ever get lost, come back to this show. We've got the rope to help pull you out and guide you through the mess. We will be there with a hand ready to pull you out. I promise you. Complicit with a $5.51 donation. Ever since the whole world believes now that they also got badass ET UFO retrieval tech, Lockheed tripled their sales and orders worldwide. I don't know if that's fact, but it wouldn't shock me. Yeah. Like, this discussion has definitely put their company name out in the public a lot more, you know, especially when a Christopher Mellon or David Grush mentions their name in a hearing or something like that. Like, you know, so yeah, wouldn't shock me if their profits tripled. But also, there's a lot of war going on right now. A lot of money being spent in Ukraine, a lot of money being spent in Africa, a lot of money being spent in the Middle East. And then now, you know, we're sending money to Israel. It's, yeah, you know, so that could be why maybe it's tripled. Adam Hatfield with a $5 dono. Don't be willing to die on any mountain with this subject. Very great advice. Very, very, very great advice. What's up, Breeder Syndicate? Thanks for being here, buddy. Thank you for being here. I'll say this about Ashton Forbes. Outside of the MH370, he actually had a very balanced view on most of this. I don't agree with his MH370 theory and him, and I had it out with him in DMs, but he's level-headed. But I think that's what makes him so dangerous. I think that's what makes him so dangerous, is like he's either he's knowingly doing it or willfully, blissfully naive about what he's doing. Or he genuinely believes it. I think he genuinely believes it. And he's put a lot of his reputation on that, you know, and if it's wrong, then that's his identity. That's his identity is MH370. And he's, again, like, bullshit attracts way more money, way more followers, way more clicks, way more shares. Like, look how far he's taken. I mean, shit, dude, let's go to his fucking account. Like, this guy has 80,000 followers, basically. You know? Like, and his YouTube channel was nothing 5 months ago. It was nothing, but he's been hustling and making videos and putting out this shit so hard. He's got 17,000 subs. He did that really quickly. All MH370, by the way. Look at this. I mean, damn, dude. There's got to be more videos than this. It says he has 110 videos. Oh, they're probably all live. Yeah, there you go. Look, every single one has this fucking image. You know, that's just, man, that's what sells. You know, that's what, yeah, it's tough to walk away from that stuff. It's tough. It's addicting. He loves going on podcasts. He loves being the voice of reason inside spaces. It's funny, man. It's funny to me that this is the voice of reason. This is the guy. This is the guy that is the reasonable one. It's wild to me. Absolutely wild. But anyway, where the hell were we talking about? Oh yes, Eric Weinstein. Okay, so that's Eric Weinstein. That's the cabal. It's like he's so close, but yet so far away. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll be able to get into a space with him and be like, dude, go with your gut. Go with your gut. And what the hell ever happened to that Bob Lazar dinner? Because, man, like, if he's telling the truth, right? Let's get him in front of Congress, baby. Let's do it. But he's not. He's full of shit, and he's ignoring you. You know, so complete here. Lou, I love you and Ashton. 100% same. You two should talk. Look, I've said before, it's nothing personal, man. Like, but you know, when you're, and who knows, maybe one day his research actually accidentally stumbles onto what happened to that plane. So who knows, dude? Maybe one day he really gets justified by exploring this. And I promise you, if he does stumble on that, if he actually stumbles on what actually happened to this plane, if he figures it out, I promise you, you'll never see that portal ever again. You'll never hear about the batteries and the fire, none of that bullshit. Yeah, I promise you. He will immediately switch to whatever it is he found. I promise you. Oh yeah, I miss Rather too. Been wanting to say this for a long time. Thanks a lot for all you do, Lou. You, Cambion, and some others have been fighting the good fight. I really appreciate it. And I had a pretty interesting conversation with someone today that may manifest itself into a cool interview. So we'll see if that happens. Yeah, you know, I've been getting a lot of that. I've been getting a lot of this stuff lately, and you're welcome. Yeah, makes me feel good. Makes me feel good. You know, that I was right. Like, you know, we're not going to get all the likes and the subs and the attention that these other accounts are getting, but that's okay. It feels good. Feels good. Feels good. Like, it feels good to be here and be able to sift through this bullshit and say how I feel and not walk on any eggshells anymore. And actually share how I feel about this stuff. And so thank you for this compliment. I truly appreciate it. All right, let's check out what Ross Coulthart said on Need to Know. And with this, I will definitely put up my fair use banner. Fair use. This is transformative work. We are educating the publics on the videos that we are critiquing. This is covered under fair use and allowable by law. This is the podcast Need to Know with Ross Coulthart and Bryce Zabel. The clip was provided by Skyfire News. So that's where it all came from. Again, you know what? I'll just go ahead. I'll just go ahead and put stupid Need to Know link. So that way there's no bullshit, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to go over there and pay for their paywall, go for it. You'll get all the secret info 2 days, the week before everybody else. And trust me when I tell you, it's not that great. But let me go ahead and just put this link in the description of the video. So that way we are covered. Link to Need to Know channel. Bam. All right. So there you go. So there we. Oh wait. What did I do? There we go. All right. So that way we're covered. All right. Just have to CYA. You know what I mean? So this is good old Ross Coulthart, mate. All right, mate. Let's listen to what this guy has to say in response. Again, this is his response to Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick.
I think you are going to see a lot more coverage. This year is going to be, and I know everybody rolls their eyes at this year is going to be a very interesting year. There are reasons why it's all going dark. The reason
it's going to be an interesting year why it goes dark? Okay, go on.
Are, firstly, yes, I am. I've made no secret of this. I'm talking to people who purport to be working inside the legacy crash retrieval.
I'm talking to people that purport to be inside the legacy crash retrieval UFO programs. Trust me, bro. I know a guy and he told me, trust me, bro, I work in the legacy program. Take it to the bank, Coulthart.
Retrieval reverse engineering program. Yeah, the one that Dr. Kirkpatrick says doesn't exist.
Trust me, bro, it's real. The doctor is wrong on this one. Dr. Kirkpatrick, the guy who had access to all of this shit, is wrong on this one. The guy that David Grush would not talk to is wrong on this one. Okay, got it. Psychotronic X, thank you for the subscription, man. Appreciate you for joining. I love it. Thank you so much. Copliz here. Man, dude, you're coming in strong today. Ross Griffhart's Pile of BS 100. It's so big. I'm sure everyone here knows that he's referencing the ship so big it had to have a building constructed around it because it could not be moved. And now they're studying it in this hidden building. This ship so grand. Ross knows where it is. 2 sources told him, so he's corroborated this story. Yet he won't tell anyone. He's literally gatekeeping. He's doing the thing. I've professed this so many times. Let's move on.
The simple fact is, those people have got a very clear message now from the Pentagon and the intelligence community that we don't have your back.
So basically, it's the intelligence community's fault that these guys are crazy. Wise Monkey with a $2 donut, thank you. 18 years jail for this Westminster scandal source. Yeah, and if you guys don't know what he's talking about, we've covered this before. Steve Camion has covered it. Ross Coulthart has reported falsely on a Westminster child abuse scandal that turned out to be completely wrong. And if I'm not mistaken, members of parliament were put on the chopping block. I think some of them either quit or got fired. And it was all because of Ross Coulthart's shitty reporting. And then he had to go back, I think a year and a half after he made this big story, and it was like a 60-minute sort of thing. He had to go back and correct and retract what he said. And then he got fired from where he was working. And then he went over, I believe, to then, or he might have been where it might have been the Australian news station that he was working for. They didn't technically fire him. They just didn't renew his contract because he fucked up so badly on that story, because he was just believing the sources, the purported people within the legacy program, the purported people who were abused by members of parliament. If you're going to report shit like that, you better be right. And if he can't get that right, what makes you think he's going to get UFOs right? I mean, genuinely. Eat your heart out, Capone's here. Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I genuinely appreciate the love. Genuinely appreciate the love. There was something here. Just make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, I didn't. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure I don't miss any super chats or anything, guys. Thank you for the love. So let's continue.
That despite what Congress has very clearly laid out in legislation, that there should be no criticism, no attacks of people for coming forward about illegal programs that have been concealed improperly from Congress. It's been made very, very clear by the Pentagon's person who they appointed to investigate UAPs that we are going to bully and intimidate you if you try and come forward. That's the very clear message and perception that I take.
That's a very clear message and perception he takes, yet no one from the DOD or the intelligence community has talked about tying people up to Humvees and stoning them to death. That was an alarm for an audition that I already taped. There's been no call to weaponize this information. There's been no call to let the bodies hit the floor. There's been no call for a dereliction of duty or a stripping of PhDs or journalism or jobs. None of that stuff has happened from the DOD side. That stuff has happened from your side. You guys have intimidated and riled up a nest of hornets on social media with the things and the language that you use to weaponize this conversation. I didn't want to use that phrase, but that's what they're doing. And it riles people up again to a point where you don't have to ask them to do the crazy shit. They just take it upon themselves to do the crazy for you. And I mean, Ross Coulthart has many times called for literally the jailing, the killing of American intelligence community officers because they're being gatekeepers on the UFO discussion. Yet he knows with the graph's so big. God, I can say that 1 trillion times. And I just hope that really sinks in. Like, he is literally doing the thing that he's professing against.
Take from the way that Dr. Kirkpatrick has behaved himself in the last few weeks. All he's done is go out on a media rant, which is designed to intimidate people from feeling they cannot feel okay about coming.
He hasn't named anybody. And again, he's not asking for people to be tied to Humvees and stoned to death.
Forward. As I say, it's not going to work. But I also urge patience from people out there. I've actually had people threatening me, saying, tell all, reveal everything you know, or we're going to attack you. And I think, well, big fuck you. The simple fact
but who is telling you that? Who's saying they're going to attack you if you don't, like, I don't think I've seen any threats towards Ross Coulthart. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's what happens when you tell people that you know we're an alien craft so big it can't be moved and they had to build a building around it to hide it from people. You're the one who said that. So yeah, when people are pissed off that you don't tell them where it is, I don't agree with it, but I understand how they got there. The balls on this guy.
Fact is, this is methodical, plodding work. We're entering into the boring phase of investigation.
Okay. So I love this because this is such a big nugget right here. Prepare to enter the boring phase of this investigation. He's telling you flat out, it's over. We're fucked. This didn't work. This pitch to the government, we literally failed at the 1 yard line. We couldn't convert on 4th and 1 for all the marbles. And it got dropped because of people like Stephen Greenstreet, John Greenwald, me, Jeremy McGowan, and other people who've reported on this bullshit. And there's a lot of people out there, so forgive me if I'm not naming them all. But it's over. It's over. Like, he's basically telling you, yeah. And he also started it with, and we'll go back to the beginning of this in a second. We'll let the rest of the clip play out. But he also mentioned something like that at the top of this clip. They tell you exactly what's going on without telling you exactly what's going on. Like, there's a clip on the channel, please go look it up, of Ross Coulthart basically telling you that this is Black Ops. Like all of these things that people are seeing is Black Ops. They're special operations, black projects that nobody knows about. And the technology is seemingly out of this world in some cases, where it appears when you look at it that it's something alien. And he like the way he words things to give himself an out, like purportedly, I've got sources within the UFO legacy programs. He always gives himself an out because he knows he's full of shit. He's lying. Just like he did about the Westminster kids child abuse case, he's doing with UFOs. This guy is not the seasoned, award-winning journalist that the UFO community touts and sparkles him with. He's got one of the sexiest voices in the field, but a sexy voice does not qualify you as a truth seeker or truth maker or a person that is reliable for good information. Richard Cookerly just subscribed. Thank you so much, man, for the sub. I love you. B. Baker says, Lou Reviews, is Ross still in Australia? Their internet laws are even stricter than the USA, where it's also illegal to make threats across state lines. Interesting. I did not know that. I wonder if he's making those threats while he's on U.S. soil. I didn't know that. That's a very good point. Yeah. Let's listen to the rest of this.
It's checking sources, verifying information, doing the homework, the very thing that, frankly, a lot of the critics say we never do. It's not an entertainment, this. This is really serious.
It's not an entertainment. This is really serious. That's why I wrote a book and did an audio book of UFOs. And I think he re-released a new version of it as well. And he's going on all of these UFO podcasts and shows and started his own thing with a Hollywood producer. Because this isn't entertainment. He's doing hits on News Nation and lying to the American people with no sources, no evidence, a lot of purported, trust me, bro, and secondhand stories. That's what this guy's bringing to the table. The work. What a joke.
If this is true, if this story is true, it is the biggest story in human history.
Again, pay attention to what he's saying. If this story is true, he gives himself a lot of outs. So when this does blow up in his face, he could be like, look, I said if this was true. I said I had purported contacts within these legacy programs. I never said that they were concrete, 100% verified. Never said that.
True, it is the biggest story in human history. If it's true, everybody from the president down are concealing knowledge of a non-human intelligence engaging with this planet. I happen to think it is true.
I don't give a shit what you think, to be 100% honest with you. He also goes on to say in this episode, he talks about and makes a very big claim that the balloons that were shot down last year during the Super Bowl, that one of them was a cylinder and it was a UAP, not a balloon. Doesn't give you any sources, doesn't tell you how he knows that to be fact, just a story. Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. I've got sources inside that say it was a alien craft. It was a UAP. They didn't know what it was. And they shot it down. Like, you are a piece of dog shit, Ross Coulthart. In the words of Jeremy Corbell, you are a piece of dog shit. You suck. Oh, man, you suck. Just suck. Okay. So, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about today. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, gosh, man. Yeah, okay. I heard a little story through the grapevine today that Kurt Mungle is going to be dropping a very long interview. I don't know what that means, but usually he does 2 to 3 hour interviews with Lou Elizondo. Apparently that's coming soon, and he just dropped an episode with Leslie Kane about the afterlife. He's been getting a lot of criticism, and I think it's fair criticism, that he doesn't really have conversations with anybody outside of this field anymore. He does, but it's rare. It's not as... a lot of his conversations now revolve around mythology and the phenomenon and ghosts, the afterlife, and UFOs and the possibilities of those things. He sees that it gets a ton of follows, a ton of views. It's his highest, if you go through his channel, his highest viewed episodes are the ones where he has UFOs or aliens in the title. He's not having those groundbreaking discussions with as many scientists these days. And I like Kurt. Like, I do like Kurt John Mungo, man. He's a really nice guy. And he said, when he comes out to LA, we should have some lunch or dinner together. And I'm waiting for him to, roll through, and hopefully that still happens. But I don't know. I've been pretty critical of him lately because it's clear that he's fallen trapped to the likes and the views and what gets more likes and views. It's really, it's really, really, really addicting and tempting because that's where the money is. You make more money, you pay your rent a lot faster. Going that route. Adam Hatfield with a $5 donation. Thank you very much. What do you think about Tim Burchett's comments? He says he's aware some people are disinfo agents, useful idiots with bad info to obscure/obstruct. I talked about that 2 days ago or 2 episodes ago. Again, he's kind of like Eric Weinstein, where he's complaining about these people that are disinfo agents while being surrounded by disinfo agents. It's like, dude, look around, look at the guys giving you information. And what's funny is Jeremy Corbell, a couple days after that, and I think we covered this too, talked about, how it wasn't Tim Burchett or it wasn't Jeremy Corbell that gave Tim Burchett shitty information. Information that he believes to be true, but doesn't actually know is true. That Jeremy's like, it wasn't me. So whoever's saying that is a dumbass, basically. And me and Tim, are laughing about it in text messages. Okay. Good damage control, Jeremy Corbell. Unfortunately, we can't believe a fucking thing you say because every word out of your mouth is questionable. It really is, man. It really, really is. That's not opinion. That's pretty much a fact. Anyway, Kurt, years ago, Kurt said he had a beneficiary funding his pod. Recently, he was asking again for donations. I think he is not well off financially, and clicks equals money. I agree. I know he had a big issue, and a couple of major podcasts had this issue where they were advertising. They were doing sponsorship breaks on their channel to advertise things, and that advertising contract got broken and wasn't paid, and he lost a ton of money and a lot of time and he went through a lot of bullshit with that company, and he's not the only one. I've heard of a lot of podcasters that had this same issue. So yeah, that sucks, man. But if there's anyone that gets that, it's me, except I just lost my audience because I started telling the truth, so yeah, it's like, I'm not gonna give you that much pity, like, this is a tough business, man. And, you're going to have those forks in the road where you can make a decision to like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do the right thing, or I'm going to go for the easy thing and what makes the money. And, depending on what you're selling, that could, it could harm some people. Anyway, I'm going to open up the show if you guys want to call. Putting the link in now. So if you guys want to call in, please do. You won't see your face on screen, so just hear your voice. And so yeah, if you want to call in, there's the link. I'm going to go ahead and let me pin it. So you guys, there you go. There you go. 145, man. Audience is growing every day. I love it. Just an hour, right? Just an hour heads up, and there's 150 people here, basically. That's fucking awesome, man. If you guys haven't subbed, please do. It goes a very long way. And if you really love this show, we've got a Patreon link in the description below. Lou Elizondo, can I call in? Sure, buddy. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Go for it, man. Although I don't think what's funny. Okay, so there's two guys with a Lou Elizondo handle. One spells it Lou and the other one spells it Lue. So I think this is the fake one. If one of them is real, I would go with the one that says LUE. But lol, Elizondo. Let me see here. Let me see if anyone's in here. No one's in here yet. All right. Let's see. I need to talk to you about my new book, 1999. Call in, man. I'd love to get the jump on that book before Kurt Mungle. I would love it, man. Sandra McDonald. I think the only person that poo-pooed his BS and Carl the Crusher freaked me out when his support, because I was thinking someone needs to tell Carl Chris is in trouble. What the F? Yeah. Carl also, yeah, man. Carl, it's funny because Carl and I would laugh about, like this thing he would call it skinwalker fever. And it was like, once you got it, you believe everything that is told to you about the Skinwalker Ranch. And we would laugh about who we thought had like the Skinwalker fever. And I think he's caught it. I think he got an opportunity to do a TV show and he knows it's bullshit, but he's pushing it anyway because it's now going to be a TV show, and yeah, that sucks. What the F is a Carl the Crusher? I don't know. I can remote view for you. Oh, please do, man. I mean, if you can remote view into the show, we are open to people calling in through remote viewing. I'm getting that your book is $19.99. But yeah, it did suck to see Carl sort of support that madness. And it just shows you kind of where Carl's at. Like, Carl's a really good friend with Chris and they're buddies. And I know they've spent a lot of time together. They've gone in on some businesses together, especially this UAP coin or whatever. So I think this is just Carl trying to defend his buddy. But yeah, not doing, I think, a killer job at it, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, I know Carl's gonna get mad probably at me saying this, but it's just the way I feel, man. It's just the way I feel. I feel like you got the Skinwalker fever now and everything is, phenomenal or paranormal. Everything. He's done some cool research with the stone carvings and paintings out in Utah. And, he's made some fascinating videos on some stuff, but like, yeah, he's also been wrong about some stuff, really wrong. Thankfully on one of them he corrected, but I think with this new Blind Frog Ranch show or whatever he's doing, where he's digging in, something he's, theorizing that there's a big mothership underneath the Utah basin, I don't know, man. It's not great. It's not great. All right. So far, nobody's calling in. What's going on? Are you guys shy or something? Don't be shy. Give us a buzz. Let's talk about this here real quick. This is something that I stumbled on because I saw, anytime I'm in a space, I tend to, just to kill time, I tend to look people up, that are in the space. I'll just go check out their profile, whatever. And so I noticed this one girl, her name is Holly Wood. That's broken into two names there. Holly, first name, Wood, second name. And I'll get to this in a second. We got a caller. I'm not here. What's going on?
I just thought I'd keep you company, Lou.
Oh, thanks.
Because no one was calling in, so I thought, I'll chat.
That's okay. I don't need anybody calling. I just figured I'd throw it out there. I mean, look, people are shy when they call into these things. I think spaces are a lot more conducive for people to just chime in. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I did have a question for you.
Yeah.
Given what you were talking about earlier with regards to, that it did feel as though the congressional hearings was a kind of like an all-in kind of gambit from these kind of usual suspects, and it didn't pan out the way that they did, the way that they hoped it would, clearly.
Yeah.
And so, as you've observed, there is a lot of blaming going on, a lot of backpedaling, a lot of name calling, a lot of frustration, which is being expressed. I think that seems to be the kind of general emotional mood that you can kind of sort of look at quite clearly. And it's interesting. I wanted to talk to you about the Soul Foundation.
Yeah.
Given the characters involved, who are much of the same crowd, are they kind of biting off more than they can chew and sort of being given so much license to the extent that they're almost kind of shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, and that because there isn't that level of inquiry or proper research being done, or real proper journalism, as was shown by Green Street this week, is it that they've kind of gone as far as they can now, and I think that looking at the foundation, is that going to be their kind of Achilles heel? Because if there's any organization that has a sort of fiduciary responsibility to be open and accountable, it's a charity, which if they filed it as. And that means that there's going to be a level of scrutiny and accountability that I don't think these people are going to be ready for. And I think that once people start to sort of see, shit, this is what they're actually studying, these are the results, what is this money actually going on? I think that that level of scrutiny is something that they're not going to be able to sustain, because it's the same people involved, and they have, if you imagine this as a sort of a house built on the foundations, there is no foundation to this, so it's all to fail. So is the Soul Foundation, in your opinion, a kind of a doomed to fail exercise?
It's a good question. And what's funny is I've got the Soul Foundation website pulled up so people can see what we're talking about. But the other day, the average Chris had noticed that Charles McCullough has been taken off the Soul Foundation website. And there's also been some additions, which I find very interesting. So we've got a Jonathan Birdie who was added. We've got Kevin Knuth, Jeffrey J. Cripple, Diana, so Jacques Vallée.
Right.
And now we've got Beatrice Villarreal, who is a researcher in astronomy at the Nordic Institute for Theoretical Physics in Stockholm. She leads the vanishing and appearing sources during a century of observations. Interesting. So they no longer have basically an attorney on site, and the one attorney that did give him any sort of credibility has been taken off the website. And it's funny because we talked about this the other day. He was just on there last week. So if I had to take a guess, I'd say this is falling apart. This is the last gasp. I think they've tried to get funding. I don't think it's worked. And now they're leaning on the names that have been in this conversation for a while now, especially Kevin Knuth and Jeffrey Cripple and Jacques Vallée. Like, those three people are just, they're sort of not gatekeepers, but like, sort of the original crew of people that look at this kind of stuff. Although Kevin Knuth, he is a, physics. He's a professor of physics at University of Albany. He's definitely, he's highly regarded scientist, but I just don't think this is going to go anywhere. I really don't. And nobody knows who the Soul Foundation is. Not even people who have invested in it. And I mean, the fact that you got Avi Loeb on here in the Galileo project is being investigated by the FBI. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on, man. But yeah, like you said, it's been registered as a charity. And it doesn't, is that what you said? They've been registered as a charity? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So basically that means that they're answerable to a board, and also within the kind of framework of how they would account for their finances. They have to be able to sort of say what success looks like, what failure looks like, to have contingencies. They have to be able to account for every single cent that comes through that company, what it's spent on, what the results of that spending were, what the outcomes were. So it's a very detailed process because obviously, it has charity status.
Right.
I think that's one of the ways in which they were able to organize their funding as well, because it changes the funding regulations and the sort of types of streams of revenue that you're able to take advantage of.
Oh, man, I'm just reading this Beatrice Villarreal. Amongst the most interesting results from the Vasco projects are the findings of anomalous, quote, multiple transients of unknown origin. Exoprobe, that is a recently launched project, aims to find and locate an extraterrestrial probe in the solar system. I mean, I wonder if she has a bias.
I think everyone in that organization has a bias, and like you said, just because you've got a PhD doesn't mean people with PhDs went looking for Noah.
Right.
Spent 10 years looking for Noah's Ark. It is not, this call to authority, this constant call to authority, which is pretty much all the entire sort of field of ufology has. Yeah. Because it doesn't have any evidence. It always has to rely on this sort of call to someone's credibility. And the problem is that, there have been, pilots and commanders of air bases in Canada who flew the Queen and dignitaries all around the world and, had high status positions, was found to be a multiple murderer of women from his base.
Right.
It's like, it's not a guarantee of someone's mental health. It's not a guarantee of their intelligence. It's not a guarantee of their ability to think critically. Look at Chris Lehto. I mean, that guy was in charge of a multi-million-dollar, aircraft that's, a killing machine. Right. And, it doesn't, people are people.
Right. No, I mean, you're right. And yeah, Chris Lehto's, again, I don't want to use him as the example, but unfortunately that's just what we have right now. As sort of a warning. Yeah. But I mean, happening right now, like where it's happening in real time, where people are actually seing it happen in real time in front of their face. I think that's a little different. Yeah. I don't know if we've really seen something like this in full effect. I mean, I know we've been close. There was a gentleman, like you said, another gentleman in the UK, he stabbed his father like 50 times because his dad didn't believe it.
110 times.
110 times. There you go. Because his dad didn't believe his alien story. So yeah, it's a wild place. But I've got another caller. Is there anything else you wanted to add before you get out of here?
No, it's always good to talk though.
All right, I appreciate you calling in, and thanks for the dono.
You're doing a fantastic job. Thanks, Lou.
Thank you. All right, Art Levine is in the house. What's up, Arthur?
Well, I'm in a car and doing audio only. So,
okay,
but
that's great.
I think it's great that you're raising these important issues. I'm coming in a little late. What I've noticed about both the comments from Burchett and Weinstein, who are now Burchett is a much closer true believer. I wanted your and Weinstein is asking for a higher, more better quality evidence, but he still is he changing significantly his views that there's legitimate reasons to be looking for alien life and so on, or how would you characterize it now? Because it does seem to me that he's offering something of value because he's an actual scientist and he understands the rationality of independent, verifiable evidence,
right,
as opposed to tall tales or fuzzy videos or fake videos. But there still seems to be an absence of real scientific rigor about assessing evidence, which is why I repeatedly post an excellent thing on Open Culture, which is a reprint of the work of Carl Sagan called the Carl Sagan's Baloney Detection Kit, which indicates rational, logical approaches to assessing evidence.
right.
And you can't argue, and points out you can't argue from authority. I'm raising these issues because there seems to be. I wanted your views on this, and welcome what your listeners have to say. There seems to be this, because of the the strong language and forcefulness of Kirkpatrick. There's now emerging slowly a pushback against the ongoing media narrative, and more like The Guardian and USA Today, by quoting him, are beginning to push back against the exact same narratives that those publications have been pushing for quite a while. On the other hand, there, as Green Street's excellent recap just aired yesterday or the day before indicates, the UFO true believers are not accepting it, and they're being more enraged. So how do you think this will be playing out? I'm alarmed that we are dealing with increasingly radicalized people who are still following UFO influencers and believe, Rose Coulthart and Corbell and others, and do have a quasi-religious point of view, which could lead to dangerous cult-like action. So that's where my levels of concern.
Yeah. I am right there with you as far as that level of concern. It's a good question. I mean, what happens next? I mean, I just played the clip Ross Coulthart saying that nothing is happening. It looks like we're entering the boring phase of ufology.
Right.
If I had to take a guess, I think it's just going to revert back to what it was for the last 50 years, where the world took it serious for a good 3 or 4 years, and they're like, okay, is there something to this? And then once they finally got their claws into it and figured out what was going on, they're like, yeah, just as disappointing as it was the last time. All right, back to the regular scheduled programming. And the UFO community is not going to like it, because they're not going to get any answers on this stuff that they want. They'll get answers, but yeah, they're not going to like them. They're not going to like or accept them.
So I think it's not quite the same between pre-New York Times and post-New York Times, because the New York Times created the mainstreaming at a much higher level than previously existed around believing in the credibility of UFOs. And there's been, here's what's not going to happen, I think. The New York Times is never going to do an official 180 and retract its 2017 reporting.
Yeah.
Or it's incredibly credulous thing that I pointed out I have a 2-part series in Washington Spectator, and I was a guest on your show. Yep. The most kind of horrible impact is the 2017 New York Times story that changed the whole landscape. But then they followed it after the NDAA legislation for defense, where they literally said, did aliens land in 1945? Pentagon wants to know. And they just quoted Jacques Vallée. Neither of those two stories are going to be withdrawn and retracted. And yet the damage that they've done is significant. And what I'm bringing it back to is you have a much larger group of true believers now than you had before 2017. And some subset is intensely radicalized, and the true believer types and the influencers, the Corbells, the Coulthart and Knapp and others are, and then the substratum of podcasters are going to continue to ramp up their base about it. And so I feel that the dangers of radicalization continue, even if mainstream media may be slightly less gullible moving forward in the wake of the Sean Kirkpatrick work, but the danger still exists, I think. But, welcome your views. And
I think, Kirkpatrick said that we're going to get the final part of his investigation that's going to be released here, soon. So
right.
I hope that makes enough noise in the mainstream media where maybe a New York Times is like, okay, we can retract this story now because this has been turned from an unknown to a known. If I had to take
point.
Yeah, if I had to sort of play devil's advocate for the New York Times, I could understand why they didn't retract it, because it's like, well, then what is it? Do you have the answer? The DOD hasn't given an answer as to what these things are. So as far as we're concerned, the article still stands. But yeah, I think if the information is compelling enough, especially if they bring out, I think the best thing to do would be to let the public hear all of the audio and get all of the telemetry and all of the data for Gimbal, Go Fast, and Tic Tac. All of it. I mean, those are old videos. They should be declassified. They're obviously have already been leaked. The public has already seen them. Let's get all the data on those, so then that way we can come to a definitive determination, not only publicly, but legislatively. Okay, there's nothing to this. And all of these guys that have influenced conflicts.
But here's an example. Okay, so this report is undoubtedly, Roswell is still the central foundational myth, and even some skeptics remain, quote, open to it. Obviously I admire Stephen Campion enormously and have been on his show, but what I'm getting at is Roswell. Here's what the Roswell is definitely going to be recapping the Air Force report, which said it was Mogul. And yes, we lied in the 40s that it was a weather balloon. It was actually, a spy satellite program, Mogul, and maybe they will reconstruct in the way Cal Korf's book did, what they won't tell you about Roswell, or what his UFO book, which shows how the witnesses kept telling the story. But none of that is going to matter to the true believers.
Right.
And Roswell is the foundational. Roswell is a foundational myth, and even calling it a myth is raises the hackles of true believers.
Yeah.
Because this has been, in their eyes, the most definitive. So I think it'll be. I agree with you. I think we may be moving forward where the complete, total, horrible, unprofessional credulity of every mainstream news organization for the last 6 years may ease up. But that's where I'm concerned. So you don't have to keep me on those are my main points, and I look forward to hearing what you and your audience have to say.
Yeah, well, before you get off real quick, I just want to say thank you to William Runner, who's just donated $20. Says, great show as always, Lou. I really appreciate that donation. And then somebody had a question for you. It says, question for Art. What do you think about Dave Troy's perspective on UAP? I'm not familiar with Dave Troy. Who is that?
Dave Troy is superb. Okay, I in fact wanted to. Dave Troy is excellent. He's a columnist for the Washington Spectator, and he also is an expert on disinformation. And by the way, one of the people he marks down as disinformation because of conspiracy thinking is, quote, dark journalist. But his take, he has done really superb work. And if you look up what he's done, and to a lesser degree, the wonderful Emily Louise, Weird Reads with Emily have done.
Yeah, she just followed me on YouTube, and I just found her channel. She's amazing.
She is the greatest. She is the greatest video content creator out there now in the UFO field. That is my view.
I agree.
But everybody should. So here's Dave Troy's thing, and I want to get on. I've chatted with him, and I admire his work. So he has basically done a very in-depth series of articles for the Washington Spectator. And what he's done is linked UAPs to neo-fascism and neo-fascism in America, where the origins of the anti-Roosevelt they're known as gold bugs, pro-gold standard, pro-UFO, pro-gold standard, and getting off the dollar standard, and anti-Roosevelt and neo-fascism, all mixed up in the 1930s. And there was a group called the Silver Shirts, and some of that is addressed in a book called Black Sun, which looks at the neo-Nazi roots currently and formerly. So Troy is right on the money, I think, in terms of looking at the esoteric / neo-fascist, anti-Semitism. And that is also part of the Madame Blavatsky influence. I know this sounds really bizarre, but Troy puts it together, and Weird Reads Emily puts it together, and you can read about it in Black Sun, where essentially there's this kind of, if there are noble aliens, what was it, Marina Selena? Who was the neo-Nazi girl?
Marina Seren, is the one who took a picture with Christopher Mellon at a UFO con.
So her ideas, and about she believed in the Thule Society. So the notion that there are tall, kind of like this New Guy Hall about tall white aliens and all that stuff, that is kind of a long-standing ugly tradition in the UFOs, which is this kind of Aryan-style aliens, and that they're blending, their good genes are blending with the good people, but everybody else is mud people. I mean, what I'm getting at is racism, anti-Semitism, and fascism
run rampant in the UFO community.
Yeah, been part of the root elements of the UFO community, even if it's not a majority strain per se, but there's definitely those elements. And then when you add this kind of cross-ideological, essentially the deep state narrative that Coulthart, Corbell, and Knapp are pushing, it kind of feeds into both right-wingers and people's general suspicions of the government on UFOs.
Well,
so, I mean,
I was going to say, who's been pointing this out for a long time is Erica Lukes and Jack Brewer.
Oh yeah, Erica. Well, right. No, their work is excellent. So if you want to learn more about Troy, he is kind of moving away from X because it's become a neo-Nazi hellhole. But look for his work there. He also is on Mastodon, but also just check him out, his blog and Washington Spectator, and track down his work, because he's a very original thinker who does deep historical dives, and I learned a lot from him. And again, there's stuff on the Silver Shirts, the I Am. See, here's this critical point that both Dave Troy and Weird Reads Emily have focused on, which is that interplay of esoterica, neo-fascism, racism, anti-Semitism, and hostility to liberal democracy, all blending with UFO cultism. And the difference between the 30s and now is that the top influencers are not explicitly racist, anti-Semitic, and anti-liberal democracy, but they have echoes of that rhetoric, such as their hostility to the government, their calls for violence, let the bodies fall. So that's part of the scary part that's going on here. So we will see. Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
It's going to be a bumpy ride. Somebody shouted you out and said, Fifi Barbora said, Art is a good blinker user. Yeah, because everybody could hear your blinker going off in the background. So I think it's an appreciation post. It's an appreciation post just saying, hey, thanks for using your blinker. Like that. That a lot of people don't do that, and
I'm also a safe COVID, so you can see some of my aggregations on Facebook under Art LDC, and Also, for those of you who I'm a science journalist and a medical journalist, and I have a book out called Mental Health Inc., which brings me to Chris Lehto, which is I do think there's something in psychiatry and medical journalism called the Goldwater Rule. You don't do long distance psychiatric analyzing, particularly in presidential races. But I think Chris Lehto, from what people are saying, and you have said, I have no idea if this is true. So this is all allegation, speculation, and rumor. I don't know. He may do a fair amount of psychedelics, and he may be unraveling in front of our eyes. And I am hopeful that he has family members who are trying to, get him some help or talk to him. And we don't know what'll continue to happen. But I do think that the comments, yes, I think it was it you or was it Cambion? I watched both of you regularly who talked about his snapping his fingers having to do with the eclipse.
Yeah, that was probably me.
Right. So that was brilliant. So when I saw that, see, I'm one of these people who do think he's having mental crises in the wake of it. So, and what is troubling is, and I talked about this in my first article, and to a degree in the second article. The first was called Spaceship of Fools in July, and then I had another one about UFO witness credibility falling apart after the hearings that ran in September. In both of them, I look at violent actions. The issue is that when you have someone with mental disturbances of some kind, they can interact with the nonstop information that is flooding into them. Yeah. And thus it can incentivize unbalanced people to take violent actions against friends or perceived opponents of UFO disclosure. Yep. And that's called stochastic terrorism. And the analogy I use is Tucker Carlson never told the shooters at the Tree of Life in Pittsburgh or the church in the African American church in the Carolina or South Carolina or the New Zealand guy to go kill these people for the Great Replacement Theory. But he had 400, at minimum, over 400 nonstop broadcasts around the Great Replacement Theory that globalists, i.e. Jews and others, were scheming to bring in immigrants to take away your jobs, your vote, and rape your women. This was nonstop at Fox News, endlessly, and recapitulated throughout the right-wing ecosphere. So if you're mentally unbalanced, well, yeah, you're going to want to pick up a gun and go kill people in the synagogue. Right. And that's the road we're not yet at, but it just, as I've said before, it just takes one unhinged person. Yeah, no, it's getting there. I feel like it might get there, because again, like you guys have been promising aliens and UFOs and reverse engineered programs, and when they don't get it, they're going to be upset. Some of them are going to be really upset. But Art, I'm going to let you go because I got 2 more callers. But thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate it. Okay, keep up the great work. Thank you, sir. You too. All right, I'm going to bring up Matthew Wright and then Kaplizzier, and I'm going to get to you. Mr. Wright, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I love the hair.
Thanks. Yeah, I did it myself. You can tell.
You look good.
So, I just wanted to ask, what was the moment the shit hit the fan for you?
What do you mean?
A lot of people are probably new watching the show. What was the moment where the shit hit the proverbial fan?
It was the moment, you were there. It was the moment that we all found out, about Lou Elizondo's sock puppets, and then the aftermath of that. And then also coupled that with, the Felon 5 text message and that whole leaking of that. So yeah, I'd say that was the shit hitting the fan moment, but there were so many red flags and sort of hints and people like you telling me along the way, like, hey, pay attention to this, look at this, watch out for this person, watch out for that person, just be careful in some of these things that you're essentially propagating, and platforming.
Do you think you're happier?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I was really happy when I was doing like, Big Phone Home and everything was cooking and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, once I realized, oh, this isn't fun. This is just a bunch of bullshit. And I'm caught up in the middle of it. That's when I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like this doesn't feel good. But yeah, no, now it's great. I don't have to walk on eggshells anymore, which is awesome. I can just say whatever the hell I want. And give my opinions on whatever I want and call out the bullshit when I think the bullshit needs to be called out. So yeah, it's great.
Well, I'm glad to see you still doing it. I just wanted to come on and say hi because no one was jumping in, and then
all of a sudden everybody called. Yeah, that's the way it works. Once you get one, that's when everybody starts. Oh, okay, I got the confidence now to call in. And Art Levine, that man, he's loaded with info. I gotta let him. I gotta give him the runway to land. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to say. Anyways, I just wanted to send some love.
I love you, man.
All right.
Love you, man. Thanks for calling in, and I'll talk to you soon.
For sure. Text me.
All right, buddy. Peace. Kapliz here. What's up, man?
Greetings and salutations, my friend.
Hello.
Greetings from a friend of mine from Germany.
What is going on? Yes, we hear you beautifully. How are you?
Yeah, I just wanted to come on and tell you I really enjoy your stream. I really enjoy your kind of person, and I followed you all the way through. And I have to say, you're one of the ones, and there are just a couple of them that are out there for the realness. I like all your ways of going through this whole evolution of ufologism, whatever you call it. But the way you are pointing out stuff is remarkable. So thank you for that. Greetings from Germany.
Man, thank you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support that you've sent throughout this show and all the other shows. Thank you.
Gang.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome, my friend.
I appreciate it. Seriously, the love is strong. I feel it from you, and I appreciate the support. Yeah, it's people like you are the reason I stuck around. You're the reason I'm still
thanks
here.
For that, man.
So I know there's.
I stuck with it.
Awesome.
I saw you in some conversations when you were on with Ufo and you called them out, and you always was fair. You always was cool. You had a nice and intellectual kind of way of thinking and pointed out the realness. This is when no homo, but when I fall in love with you because you're one of the true guys out there. So I have two questions for you, my friend, from Germany all the way. Because German ufology sucks very bad. We don't have the Glocke or anything of that. It's all bullshit. I tell you that from a German way of perspective. And I'm 42 years old and on this planet. There's no such thing as secret tech. We would talk German right now if the Glocke or stuff like that would be real. Anyways, but I have two questions. Is there anybody or anything or any case that you think is kind of real? Or is there anything to it? Or do you think it's all human-made like tech and human-made like, stuff that is claimed to be alien?
I think the best case out there is the Cash Landrum. I think out of all the cases, that one is really, really interesting because there's physical evidence and the story that the ladies tell. And they died from like the radiation exposure, and the child that was in the car also had some issues. But I just don't know if what they saw was some sort of, because the descriptions of the craft have a flame coming out of the bottom of it, like some sort of propellant. So I don't know.
They use fire out there in the other dimension. I don't think so. Or the other part of the galaxy.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, okay, go ahead. What's the second question?
No, you go first. Excuse me.
No, it's okay.
Cool to talk to you finally.
Yeah, no worries. I think that case is a really good one. But I just don't know. I'm unclear. I don't think there's enough data to determine whether what they saw was some sort of American top secret black project that they were working on, just wrong place, wrong time, or a genuine alien craft. I don't know.
And even Jeremy Riss and people like that don't believe in ETs that much anymore because there's so much money went into Black Project and Army and military tech which is kind of ridiculous. If you ask me, in Germany, we don't have ammunition for 2 days if we went to war right now. So we know that the Americans and Lockheed Martin stuff is the way to be. But yeah, I don't think there's any evidence. Zero. Nada, niente, none, nothing that makes it anything how compelling, except like maybe the DMT and kind of the other dimension that you can enter with psychedelics.
Right.
But well, we won't find out with Lou Elizondo, or like I call him, Elizondo, or David Grush. I mean, 4,000 days with no evidence, and there will still be book sales and new books coming out from Jacques Vallée and people like that.
Yep.
It sucks. It was always like that. It always sucked, and now it sucks so bad, and now so much stuff is happening at once. So I don't trust any one of them.
Hopefully my show makes it suck a little less.
Yeah, it does. And two compliments. Yeah, it really does. You really made sense from the first day I checked out your show, way back when you didn't wear tie and a suit, but normal t-shirts or sweatshirts like me does right now.
Yeah.
But I fall in love and fell in love with you, and rather, what's the name of the girl? I don't know. But,
Jane. It was Jane.
That was a real show out there for the realness from the day one. And you kept on being a cool person, a kind person, an intelligent person, and a fair person, but a badass person too. This is why you remind me of that rapper, Mexican OT, you know, when I told you that. But I got two more questions, two more things to mention, then I let anybody else in. I find it so cool that you finally made up with Cambion and after you all came on the same realness kind of level and you caught the same vibes. That's something I found really, really special, really, really cool, and really, really true. Forget about the goof on third box of the moon kind of sickness. Real people connect and real people make up their real minds. I like how you call out the fizzled bunch. I really think they are white trash, in my opinion, but I'm German. I can say it like easy. You know, they are really bad, mean mother foes, and they really rage the whole community, and they even like it. So this is very disgusting. Another thing I want to mention is, before I lose my train of thought, is there anybody out there, because this is one of the coolest people I ever seen and met on YouTube about this ufology kind of themes. What is up with Jeff from Strange Recon? Can anybody tell me how?
Oh man,
where is he? What happened
I don't know.
Him? Will he return to ufology?
I have
really
no
like
idea.
So.
I have no idea. I've never spoken or interacted with Jeff from Strange Recon.
That would be so awesome. You should talk to him if he would return. That would be badass too. He is a smart and cool dude too.
No,
like
I agree. I think he had a great show, and yeah, he's funny. He's charismatic. I thought you were going to ask me if there's another show that is kind of close to yours. I was like, no, I can't really think of any. But if I had to, now that you mentioned, Strange Recon would probably be the closest thing, you know? I would love to see him come back. I have no idea where he went, but if I had to take a guess.
He went like, I thought Men in Black. I have a sweatshirt from him with 2 Men in Black and then UFO. I bought it from his shop. You don't have merch. Why don't you have merch? And another point I wanted to ask. We need a Lou Reviews t-shirt.
Yeah, I stopped doing merch once I ended UCR. And merch is the only time I'll ever do merch again.
New merch.
I don't know.
I like the cowboy photo of you whenever you come out and you have the cowboy with the gun.
Well, that's Burt Reynolds. I've got a deep love for Burt Reynolds. If the show ever gets
You're my Burt Reynolds, Rudy.
If the show ever gets to a point where the merch demand is so high, I would think about doing it again. But I'll be honest, not right now. Not right now. I don't have the bandwidth.
At me if it's time for that.
I will. I definitely will. I appreciate the love.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Very much love, greetings, salutations, mad respect for all the stuff you do and all the train of thoughts you already had. Keep on doing the right stuff and keep us informed.
I love it. Thank you. I will.
Lou Reviews, gang, gang, gang. Bye bye for now. Auf Wiedersehen.
Love it. Complizzy here. Thank you for calling in. We'll see you next time, buddy. Dude, that was awesome. That was awesome. Okay, so we got one last caller. I think this is gonna be the last one of the day. This is kind of mysterious. 75 YBA. Let's see who this is. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Hey Lou, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Hey, I follow Katie Sackhoff. You're familiar with her, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Bo-Katan, Starbucks. She
Yeah.
has a YouTube personality named Christian Harloff. Are you familiar with that guy?
Sounds a little familiar.
He used to be on Collider, the Collider channel. He reviews superhero stuff, but lately he's gotten into UFO stuff. And I left a comment, like on Katie's channel. Not that I don't think she probably reads it or whatever, but this Christian Harloff guy's going hard into the UFO stuff, and I thought, wow, I don't. She has him on her channel, and I'm thinking, I wonder, if her PR people or agent know what's going on. It's just a thought. It's just something I noticed.
Okay, I looked him up while you were telling me about him, and yes, I know exactly who this is. I didn't know he went deep into the UFO thing. Yeah, I see. He's put out a YouTube episode, "What Will Soul Reveal?" with a big picture of Gary Nolan. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know this guy was heavy into the topic, so I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it's a new thing for him. I think he's searching for, more views, obviously.
Okay, so he's the host of The Big Thing, executive producer of blah, blah, blah with BBB Katie and Katie Sackhoff. That's interesting that they do. Yeah. Was Katie Sackhoff... I know she was Bo-Katan in The Mandalorian, but was she a movie reviewer before she did Bo-Katan?
No, but she's had a channel for a while, and she had like Bryce Dallas Howard on recently. She's gonna start to do big interviews and stuff.
Well, that makes sense because Bryce Dallas Howard also directed a few episodes.
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah, okay. I'll keep an eye out. Yeah, I'll see if I can get in this person's ear and be like, "Wake up, dickhead."
She seems cool. I mean, she seems like a cool lady, but I just thought, wow, I wonder if she knows what's going on with this dude.
No, well, you mean with Christian?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, look, dude, like, I think it's very easy, and I know this because I did it, when you have this belief system and you know the ins and outs of it, and you could speak with a much different confidence today than you could have 10 years ago.
Absolutely. I used to be into Art Bell and all that.
Yeah. And I mean, nobody was getting into this when it was the days of Art Bell. There was just a small, cultish like following for that show and that sort of world. But now the internet has made the world a much smaller place. And, I think the level of, sort of the bona fides that comes with the people who are speaking nowadays, like Gary Nolan, Lou Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, all of these guys have these bona fides. But again, if you actually do the research and look into these guys, you find out, these bona fides it's all bullshit. It's just a bunch, it's just to throw you off of actually looking into it. So yeah, man, I mean, I thank you for making me aware of it. I was not aware of it. Now I think I'm going to go watch an episode and see what he's saying.
Very interesting indeed. Yeah.
Well, thank you for calling in. This was very successful. We had quite a few calls.
Yeah. Sorry for the cloak and dagger. I work kind of in adjacent to mental health, so I got to keep my profile.
No, I get it. No, it's Area S4.
Sorry?
Are you at Area S4? Is that why you got the cloak and dagger thing going?
Oh no! I just work in mental health.
Are you one of Ross Coulthart's purported sources that works inside of the legacy UFO research program?
Not at all.
Okay, all right. I had to ask.
No, just kind of a kind of a volunteer mental health kind of assistant.
I love it, man. Well, hell, man, maybe one day I'll come across you in one of my sessions.
No, I'm up in Canada, so.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, I don't got that health care. All right, well, hey, thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it.
All the best, Lou. You're a great guy.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Yep. All right. That was the show, you guys. That was the show, man. Thanks for calling in, everybody. Yeah. Thanks for calling in, my peeps. Oh, want to say thank you to Pat Calabria for this $5 dono, man. Almost forgot these. And then we also got another one from Kelameskis. Did I say that right? Kelaskimus. Selasimus. It sounds like a spell from Harry Potter. Calabasissimus. Calasamibus. Thank you for the $5 donation. Longtime skeptical listener. Lovely to watch the evolution of the show and see you having fun again. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think the fun is back, everyone. Officially. Lou Elizondo, get ready for my new book, 1999, from all good retailers. Wise Monkey, I keep missing the start, but great show. Naturally keep swinging, Lou. That's okay. Go back and watch it. It's all good. It's there for you forever. Simon Fly, great show. Thank you, guy. I love you. Ernesto Santillan. Yes, I followed Chris for years. I've been trying to warn him. Christian has gotten into the UFOs big time and he comes across as a real believer. Usually people who are into UFOs big time are real believers. Actually, I wanted to talk about this real quick. I'll just quickly mention it, but there was a very, very cool video that was put out last night by this guy, Penguin Zero, who's got a massive following on YouTube. He's got 14.5 million subscribers. And he had to set the record straight about his thoughts on aliens. So a lot of people were speculating online about what this guy believed. Was he into it? Did he believe in aliens or doesn't he? His dad is an avid UFO believer. And he's into the topic. He knows all the ins and outs of it, but he is very logical and very simple with his rebuttal to his father every single time. And it's just like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, Dad. Like, why would they all crash in just the United States? Why would they come all of this way to just crash? Just simple shit. Like, it's like, it was a really cool little 19-minute video that already has 1 million views. And I love when people of this kind of power and influence speak some common sense into this discussion without being part of it and at the same time in it. When you got a family member like his dad or like me or what I used to be, this is all you get from them. Dinner, Thanksgiving, holidays, birthdays, every time you guys sit down to talk, it's let's somehow work this into the conversation. So it's great. It's great when logic is added to this stuff. Anyway, you guys, I just wanted to chat about that for a quick second because I thought that was very interesting. Adam Hetfield, $10 dono here at the last second. I think the Felon 5 you mentioned earlier may have been the handlers of Corbell or of the Corbell cabal wanted to take the reins to control the narrative and put that bad info in place of. Let me just do something here real quick. Make this a little, now that I figured this thing out. There we go. I think the Felon 5 mentioned earlier may have been the handlers of Corbell cabal wanted to take the reins to control the narrative and put for bad info in place of. That makes sense. I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's all speculation, but possible. Thank you for the $10 dono. Damn, you guys came strong today. Holy shit, this is like UCR days. I love it. Thank you guys. It's amazing. Like I said, it helps, man. It helps big time. Want to say thank you to everyone who called, everyone who was active in the chat, Art Levine, Matthew Riot, especially because I've got a strong love for you guys. Compliz here with great questions and a lot of love. Thank you so much for all the love from Germany. He said some funny things too. Okay, so please, before you guys get out of here, don't forget to smack that like, share, subscribe button. That way, or ring the bell. That way you're notified every time we go live. And I know Matthew wants me to get a schedule, but my life is very busy right now and schedules just aren't my thing. So to schedule the show every week, I just don't know how many shows I want to do. And this allows me to do however many I want, whenever I want. And they usually come around 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So ring the bell. That way you don't miss it. And if you do miss it, it's okay. Watch the replay, share it, show your friends. I love you all. If you really love the show, if you want to donate to the show outside of Super Chats, we've got a link to the Patreon in the description below. So go check out our Patreon. Again, no paywalls, no special access, no special things with the Patreon. If you donate to Patreon, it's because you really love the show. So thank you guys for all the love. Let's see here. What else? Okay. Thank you for embarking on this journey of discovery together. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and thank you for subscribing and listening to Lou Reviews. Until next time, thank you all for helping raise the bar. Have a great rest of your week. Good night. Love you.